So I'm going to present about using carrots and sticks to instill behavior in your team. So how to lead them with carrots and how to whack them back on the trail with sticks, you might say. I've had a few things. I'm on the Forbes. We have other Forbes people here in the group. Forbes had a little list they've done a couple years now called the Power Influencers list. I made it. My business partner as well, Lori Ruff, made it. We both made it on the list. So done quite a few things. The LinkedIn Top 50 used to be able to tell. You could sort by connections. Remember, you could sort by connections in your result, and you could see who the top people in the world were. Well, you can't anymore, but grabbed a screenshot from way back when we were out there. I hit 30,000 connections on LinkedIn in 2010, so I've been deleting so I can stay under. I delete about 100 a week so I can add about 100 people a week. There's a lot of issues with that. You know, LinkedIn times out has a few issues that they have there. My company, Integrated Alliances, was founded the same year as LinkedIn. Imagine that. I joined LinkedIn shortly thereafter. User number 125,841. And there's a way to see what your user ID is. It's in the little URL field at the top while you're looking at your profile. Nowadays, businesses desire a few things. One, they want respect. Okay, so they want their reputation to be helping them and not hurting them. Okay, everyone wants sales, and they want it without any problems. Because the kind of problems that come up can be rather fatal problems, and the problems that do come up don't tend to be around LinkedIn. You don't hear a lot about LinkedIn problems. You hear about them on other platforms. So with regard to respect, your company has its own job. Your company has what it does. It's profiled as a page on LinkedIn, kind of like it is on Facebook, like on Google+. So the company does its part to look good so that the employees can do their part. Employees attach to the page, and employees are part of this whole process of LinkedIn as well. And then you've got what people do. Hopefully their behavior is good behavior. Their behavior is stuff that says, yes, let's have more of that, as opposed to don't do what Mike did. Don't do what Sally did. You know, the opposite of that. So what happens is as you peruse around LinkedIn, as you peruse around social media, you create a digital footprint. Everywhere you go, you touch something and it says, I was here. You know, I liked, I commented, I was here, I existed. Okay. So beyond, the way to get started in getting yourself in order is to do an inventory across your different platforms. So how am I? Where do I exist? And the process for doing this is actually pretty simple. It's called Shift Print Screen. So you go to all of your platforms and you grab a screenshot of your profile and put it into a Word document. Grab another screenshot over here and put it into a Word document. You might even get well beyond this. When I say others, name another. Who's got another one out here? Names. NAYMZ, right? What's one? What kicked it all off? MySpace. Sure. So you go back to MySpace and find out that header image that you put into place is gone. It disappeared a couple years ago. You might not have been back since then. So that's where you grab a screenshot of all these, put them into a Word file. So it's been difficult nowadays to get your own brand identity from a URL standpoint. We've got to use dashes and all kinds of weird things. But at one time, you know, it wasn't so hard. Someone nice from IBM got the idea that they should grab their domain across these platforms because, you know, frankly, independent business marketers could own that, right? I mean, IBM could be IBM Corp instead of IBM had someone not paid enough attention to that at one time. So it's really important in a corporate environment to understand who's navigating and who's driving. Navigation is done by the marketing department. They set the big picture stuff. But driving is done by individual users. We've all got our own car, but we're part of a fleet, we could say. So getting control of, you know, have you realized when you say we're all going to meet at such and such a place, everyone doesn't arrive at the same time. In fact, everyone doesn't arrive. Some people don't come in the night before or didn't realize that at the turn they were supposed to turn left instead of right. That's the difference between navigating and driving. It's the herding cat principle for the most part. Okay? So companies have to allow resources. They have to allocate resources. I'll use this as my example of money. Don't you say where your priorities are based on where you spend money? That's important because we have a budget for that. The other budget has to do with time. So I got money that I'm going to spend, and I've got time of individuals on my team that I'm going to allocate. You're going to spend 5 hours a week doing social media monitoring. You're going to spend X amount of hours a week and budget to do these things. So we want to create brand ambassadors out of our employees. We want our employees to represent our brand in a positive way, and we're going to ask them to do a few things. We're going to ask them to actually like and comment and post and distribute. That's part of being a brand ambassador. That's part of social selling. That's part of social media in a group environment here in 2014. So the way to get them on board, okay, we've got our internal team we've got to get on board. These are our own folks. Now we can use carrots and sticks with an internal team. We can say, you will do this, you will post this, you will like this. Okay? We can say, you know what, you're going to sell more if you do that. Carrot and a stick and a carrot. It's different with channel partners. You're more in a carrot environment with a channel partner. You got to make it taste good. You have pretty pictures. You know, you can't tell a channel partner on Tuesday at 2 you will do this because they work for somebody else. You can't control their behavior so much. And you've got natural leaders. Natural leaders are the ones that have the big network, the ones that people go to within the organization to say, oh, you know, I can't figure out how to do this. I wanted to send a message to more than one person. I can't figure it out. And they go to someone in the company. They go to Lindsay. They go, Lindsay, how do I do that? How do I send a message to more than one person? And someone steps up, and that's your natural leader. So you want to court your natural leaders because people look up to them. You know, this has been the case all along. I mean, that's nothing new in social media. You've got folks that speak on behalf of the company. Someone always asks that intelligent question out there when the speaker is up there and they go, any questions? And someone asks that great question out here. And Tim says, it's a great question. And then everyone goes, wow, and they come up later and they talk to Tim afterwards. So the way to get a social media strategy together is, first of all, understanding what it's about. We want to bring everything together, so we want to have a common UI, maybe. Wouldn't it be nice to have a dashboard that could bring it all together? We need to bring the strategy together. Next up is our resources. If we do one thing one time, we can do one thing and have it go 3 times. We can leverage things. Content is a great way that we leverage things. It should take less effort to do things if we're leveraging pieces that are out there. Copy paste I'll use as the ultimate leverage, right, Aaron? Because copy paste, put it over there. Well, guess we can put it over there as well. And then ultimately, we want to boost our sales with social selling. These techniques that I'm talking about are techniques that sales reps can do. If you make it easy enough, you dumb it down enough, you make it take 30 seconds instead of 5 minutes, you can buy their attention. So this is where to focus on it, and the focus here is across all platforms. Okay. First of all is text, and text is easy. When I talk about copy paste, that's really easy. In LinkedIn, we create our text, and then our text there can be the basis of what we're going to put on Facebook, on the blog, on Google Plus. As these new platforms come up, we don't write from an open sheet of paper. We grab something we've already got, right? And we modify it and we repost it here. We might have something that was 800 characters over there and I've only got 200 characters over here I can do. But we're still going to start, put it into Word, copy it up, and move it on out. Next are visuals. Okay, and visuals today come in the form of headers and graphic images, things that are done in Photoshop, I go out when I create my presentations and I go out and I find a graphic out there to make the slides look a little prettier. Does anyone follow with me on that one? Let's pretty it up a little bit instead of looking at 4 bullets. Well, LinkedIn and social media platforms are that way as well. They don't have to be. You can not have graphics out there. You can have a little egg for Twitter, right? Can you have a little egg? Life starts as an egg, right? Okay? But eventually you got to get beyond that. Next up is who can see this stuff. So we built this great thing. Build it and they will come. We'll build it and I'll build a network around it. This is all part of the build it principle. And then we're going to use content to attract people. We're going to use content as the honey pot. And we've actually got some speakers today that are going to talk a lot about content today, tomorrow. This is a big content show. I'm not here to teach you about content because other people have that expertise. We're going to have that here. So with regard to text, this is our great ipsum, lorem ipsum. Have you seen that before? That means something in Latin, I believe. I don't know what it says. This is text. This is text. Maybe you like this text. Whatever it is in Latin. We start with text, and I mentioned how we move stuff from one place to another. Our word processor is where we start. And from here, we create and post, create and post, create and post. Okay? I've got a nice LinkedIn book that we wrote. We wrote a 188-page guide on how to use LinkedIn, to create a profile, to create a compelling environment for yourself. I'll give out a book as part of the show. So let's get on down. We did a training for a company called Carlson Companies. And I did a little investigation on Carl. Here's Paul Hubbard. He's actually one of the guys that was in the room with me. You know, he's one of the leaders. And that's his profile. So we've got a little ways to go. Now, there was another gal in the room here. Notice she says LinkedIn member here. She's not opening up a lot of herself. I mean, do you think her first name is LinkedIn? You know, I don't think so. So she's got some settings. She's not all there, but she's better. Look, a summary exists. Whoa, it exists. Isn't that a start? If it exists, that's the first start, and then we grow it from there. You can see how this gentleman here, Connor, has done a little bit more work. He's actually got a phone number and everything in his profile. Okay? Now, he's the young guy. This is the one that they look up to. And this is what they look like when they're coming out of college nowadays. They got a little bit more familiarity with it. He was an intern now. They hire interns. They bring in interns and they hire them. Of course, they're bringing in these folks here to train these folks here. Isn't that interesting? Bring in the young whippersnapper so we can train our 30-year veterans out here on how to do a better job contributing to the social program of the company. Well, with regard to teams, it can help to have a template. So we create something here that other people can build off of. The template can be an actual document where you create optimized text and share it amongst people. Okay, the marketing department's going to do it. They're going to write this piece, and it's going to go on out to folks. Or a vendor will do it. We work we actually write these things here. So the other thing is to have a model profile. Let's dress up somebody. Make somebody look really good as they can, and then we'll point everyone else to that. We'll use them as a prototype, as a model for the others. This is a less expensive way to do it. We'll just doll up that manager, Paul Hubbard, out there, and we'll make him look beautiful, and then let everyone look at Paul and see how great Paul is. Chances are Paul didn't do that for himself. Chances are he had someone else do that for him. Okay. From a visual standpoint, LinkedIn has got pictures and headers and stuff. Now, actually, I would say that LinkedIn is the most visual of all the platforms. People think pictures and visuals and stuff, they think about Facebook. But Facebook's got a header, and Facebook's got a picture. For the most part, that's it. You know, as far as the platform goes. LinkedIn has company pages. They've got headers on profiles. They've got rich media within posts that are all part of the program. Your content's going to have images as well. So as you do posts and things in the LinkedIn space, you're going to have a snazzy graphic with it, right? A featured image kind of graphic. So when people see that out there, they see a little picture associated with it instead of just a bunch of text. So the design layout process, since this is a computer graphics conference, I thought I'd lay out what I think is the best way to do graphics across social media platforms. It starts with design objects. So we'll grab our logo, our pieces, our phrases, our colors. We grab the pieces and components and put them into a little library. Call it on the side of the page. We have a canvas that has our layout. Now this is a simple canvas. Wait till you see the next one. Okay, the simple canvas. We'll lay them out here onto a template. That template is got specific dimensions, 646 by 220. That's actually the dimensions of a LinkedIn header on a company page. Okay? So we lay it down, we'll shrink them down, we'll drag and drop. This can be done in PowerPoint, by the way. I do it in PowerPoint, and then I just kind of cut it out if I need to. And then I give it to my graphic designer, and he touches things up really nice. Sometimes that just looks so good to me. We just go with it. Heck with the graphic designer. I like what I did, and it looks good enough. And if I don't need to involve him, I don't. And for the most part, I'm using a PNG file to create something that's got a little more tightness in the document itself. And PNGs can be transparent, by the way. So these are transparent images out here in PNG that I drag into here, so I don't have those little white squares that are cutting things off. If you know what I mean. Building your network is next. If no one sees it, that whole build it and they will come principle, well, they will. The search engines do find things out there. But if you connect to more people, if you have more friends, more connections, more followers, you have more chances to be found. You have more chances for folks to be putting in a little keyword string and find multiple ways to find you rather than the natural Google juice. From a content perspective, we're going to think about what does our audience want most? What are they most interested in? My audience is interested in things that help them find leads. So whatever I do content-wise, every so often I make sure I have the word lead in the title of the post. Lead in the permalink in the WordPress that goes into it. Lead in the first sentence in the first paragraph. Those are the basic SEO principles that pull together with content. So ultimately, our reputation is great and how we look is great and all, but it does come down to, someone's got to sell something so we can afford to do all this. So you need management support. Without management support, some of this stuff will happen anyway. In fact, it's happening now. Your company may not be doing anything social media-wise across the board, but it's happening. People are doing it individually. People are cobbling stuff together if you're not doing it as a firm. Okay? We've got to train our team. Train them on what to do. Train them on what not to do. Okay? When you train someone on how to do something properly, if that's what you teach them how to do and they do something else, is that wrong? If you I didn't teach you how to do it. No, it's probably not. Why not? People are going to take whatever you train them on and they're going to go further with it. They're going to add other things to it. You've only got how much time in a training session? Boy, if you had 3 days, imagine all the things I could teach you. We've got an hour or 2 hours. Okay? User adoption is the piece that's going to be the issue. Going through a training class is just great, 4 hours of training. But going back to the office to do something with it, this is where carrots and sticks come into play. As soon as someone has a success, they ring the little bell, gosh, I got one, everyone pays attention. Gosh, I could close the deal. What did you do to close it? Well, I found this company over here. I checked it out on LinkedIn. I found out who the decision makers were on LinkedIn. I found out the things that they've been talking about on LinkedIn, and then I approached the company with all this background ammo. So, do you think I can train you on LinkedIn in 60 seconds? Let's give it a try. Okay, this is all you got to know about LinkedIn in 60 seconds. This is a methodology. Does baseball have a methodology? Right, what happens? You start? No. If you don't go to first base, you don't get invited to go to second base. You don't have a chance. You got to go through. In fact, if you miss the bag, you're in trouble as well. So here we go, 60 seconds. Ready? Okay, it starts with a profile. Individuals create a profile, which is the bio about themselves. You do it in a nice way that's got the right keywords in it and those components. And the company puts out a company page. A page is like a website for the company on LinkedIn. The employees point to it. So when you go to the company page, you can see employees. Next up is your network. You need to build a network individually on LinkedIn by connecting to people. Companies create a network by having followers to their page. Follow a page, connect to a person. Next up from there is we're going to engage individuals on LinkedIn using the tools on LinkedIn, inviting, commenting, sharing, introductions. We're going to market through LinkedIn because LinkedIn is an environment where we can do targeted marketing. Individuals receive messages one at a time on LinkedIn, not through email, not through browsing. Ultimately, we're going to use this to sell. So we're going to create our environment. We're going to create our network. We're going to engage people to go sell. That's what we do. How long was that? 60 seconds. Had the rehearsal down really good. 55 last night. I had a little extra color because I had a little bit. Problems come up. Things happen. Things happen more on Twitter than they do on LinkedIn, by the way. That was beware of what account you're sending from. You're using a tool like Hootsuite, you go to, I meant to send that from my personal account. That probably was intended to go out a different account. And, Chrysler in Detroit, gosh, you really shot yourself deep in the foot there. You shot both feet at one time. It's like terrible, terrible thing to have happen. The pizza folks at Domino's had a little trouble. Remember that? How many millions did that cost them? Just over a little video. How about, don't do anything at all with a musician's guitar in a day where you've got video cameras looking outside and they're trashing guitars out there. That was another big thing that just sort of happened. By the way, all of this was related to Twitter. This didn't happen on LinkedIn. People didn't post this little thing that happened with the airlines or on Domino on LinkedIn and have the whole thing happen. The Twitter world is where your big problems come up. So solution, I got to have a social media policy. I got to tell people what's okay and what's not. This is good, that's not, do this, don't do that, there's consequences. The other part is combining our sales and marketing efforts. So if marketing is doing things that sales knows what's coming over and the sales folks know what their responsibilities are, so on, we get a coordinated effort. So creating a social media policy says this is okay. Not this, but this is okay. Do this, don't do this. Simple do's and don'ts, and some consequences that come with it. If you do something that's in the red square, this may happen to you. You can count on a first, a second, a third infraction almost, like we have a legal system within the company. Until you have a policy that says what's okay and what's not okay, everything is okay. It's like just like children, right? Mom, you didn't say I couldn't run across the road. But as soon as you do say I can't run across the road, now I got something there. Okay? So sales has its obligations. We've got to write profiles. We've got to build our network. As a member of the sales team, we've got a certain something that we've got to do. Okay? And that comes from usually a training class or some guidance or our natural leaders. In the social media world, we're not going to connect and sell, although there's a great company called Connect and Sell. Their company isn't about connecting to someone and trying to sell to them right away. That's actually about connecting on the phone and selling because they do an automated phone program. You want to foster a relationship over a little bit of time. Work your way into it. Call it dating. On dating, on the first date, whatever it is, no, you kind of work it up. You get to know each other a little bit. It's very similar to dating. Okay? Marketing is going to be doing some things. They're going to do stuff for us. We're going to have content. They're going to have activities that are going on. They're going to have the new PDF file that we want to show customers, the new something. And then finally, just use common sense. So many of these things that you see in terms of a problem out there, just because someone did something stupid, they didn't think about it, didn't double check the Hootsuite to see which it was. Probably shouldn't have my personal account on the same Hootsuite dashboard as the corporate account. That's the biggest problem there, right? The fact that we made it even possible. We have the bullets in the gun already. Instead of the bullets are over here and the gun's over there, so there's one little extra effort to make it a little bit safer. Marketing has its role. Has a whole team, a whole bunch of people. We have a bunch of Indians. Who's going to take advantage of that and what are we going to do? So we have to realize, first of all, that we have a team. So we'll find out who's on, who's not. We do an inventory. We go to the company page on LinkedIn and find out who's there. Over here is the org chart. Who's there? Where's the gap between the two? We can start with that. You'll find people are actually on LinkedIn, but they don't show up on the company page. Why is that? Just didn't type it in right, or they've been on LinkedIn so long that they were there before there were company pages at all. Can't attach to something that's not there. And the way to know about that is when you look at a profile, if you see a logo of the company and then all of a sudden you don't see a logo, you go, oh, they're not attached. They're not part of that company page environment. Okay? We need to have an obligation, a content calendar that provides a systematic way for the weekly post or the weekly comments. There's an obligation we have to provide content and instructions for exactly what to do with that as we drip it out to our own team and ask them to drip it out to their team. If marketing brings in qualified leads, that's how to get the sales team on board. Bring me good leads and I'll close them. Bring me bad leads and I'll stop paying attention. As soon as you get 3 bad leads in a row that come through as a sales rep, you get a little down. You start thinking that 4th one's going to be like the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd one. So if you qualify the leads more, from a marketing standpoint, pre-qual, you'll have a whole lot more on the back end out. Fundamentally, it's got to be easy. I'll use the term dumb it down for sales a little bit. I'll have a McDonald's #1 instead of I want a hamburger and let's see what kind of fry do I want. Gosh, kit it up as much as possible. Okay, so I've got a couple helpful resources. If you give me a business card, we have a LinkedIn profile info guide. It's a 4-page cheat sheet for how to do a really great job on a profile. 1 paragraph that tells you what goes in a summary. Another paragraph that tells you how to put your name on how to attach to the company page, for example. I've also got a 60-page LinkedIn visuals guide. And the visuals guide has how to do headers and footers. There's no footers. That was a joke. Get that one? Headers, but no footers. But how to do rich media. How do I put pictures up in a LinkedIn profile? How do I do PDFs? How do I map around these images that have these dead spots? There's a follow button over here. Well, how do I create a graphic that maps around the follow button so I don't get cut off? So as I joke, Sussex Motors doesn't become Sex Motors in another environment. That doesn't happen on LinkedIn so much because LinkedIn doesn't have a mobile app that actually shows much of these graphics. But these other platforms, Facebook and Twitter, for example, have a mobile app that cuts out some of this background stuff. They cut off the left and the right. They move this over here, and before long, you do have Sex Motors instead of Sussex. And I'm serious. If you go to the biggest brands out there and look at their app on a phone, look at their Facebook or their Twitter on a phone, and you see all these things getting cut off and all because there are cutout areas that you've got to map around, and even the biggest brands haven't done that. So I'm teaching a workshop on Thursday. We're going to go for 4 hours deep down in this. We're going to actually do live demos and stuff. We're going to dive deep into this environment. So that's me. There's my information on how to reach me, and I'd love to talk to you if you'd like to talk back.
Thank you very much for being a part of the organizing committee for the International Conference on Computer Graphics and Media Design.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate that very much.
There you go.